You know that moment? You go into your pantry, you're grabbing that beautiful jar of golden honey, and it's a solid, grainy block. We've all been there, right? And it always brings up the same questions. You're looking at this cloudy jar thinking, oh man, that's it. It's gone bad. Maybe it wasn't even real honey in the first place. It feels like such a waste. But what if I told you what you're seeing isn't a problem at all? That's right. Your honey is totally 100% fine. What you're seeing is a completely natural scientific process. It's not a sign of spoilage. It's not a sign you bought a bad batch. It's just honey, well, being honey. Okay, so let's dive into the science here. Why does this liquid gold sometimes decide to turn solid on us? The answer is actually pretty fascinating.
So, the first thing to get our heads around is that honey is what's called a supersaturated solution. Basically, that's just a fancy way of saying it is jam-packed with sugar and has very, very little water. We're talking less than 17%. This makes the whole mixture naturally unstable, just waiting for a reason to change its form.
Now, to really understand what's going on, we gotta look at the two main sugars in honey, fructose and glucose. You can see they're in there in pretty similar amounts, but the important thing is they behave very differently. And really, it all comes down to the glucose. Glucose is the little troublemaker here. See, compared to fructose, it just doesn't dissolve as well in water. And since honey has so little water to begin with, that glucose is basically looking for any excuse to separate itself out. And that is what kicks off the whole crystallization process. So what's the excuse it's looking for? Temperature, specifically cold temperatures. The moment your honey gets stored somewhere that drops below 14 degrees Celsius, that's about 57 Fahrenheit, it's like a green light for those glucose molecules to start doing their thing. And here's how it all goes down. First, those glucose molecules start to break away from the water. They link up, forming these tiny little solid seed crystals. From there, it's basically a chain reaction. More and more glucose joins the party, the crystals grow and spread, and before you know it, your honey has that thick, grainy texture. Okay, now that we know the how and the why, let's flip the script. Let's talk about what this really means for the quality of your honey. Because, and this might surprise you, it can actually be a really good thing. Let me be crystal clear on this one. Crystallization does not reduce the nutritional value or quality of your honey one bit. It is the exact same honey with all the same good stuff inside. It's just changed its texture, not its essence. And here's the real kicker. Crystallization is often a sign of high-quality natural honey. You see, a lot of mass-produced brands heat and filter their honey to keep it liquid on the shelf forever. That process removes tiny things like pollen, which actually helps start the crystallization. So when your honey does crystallize, it often means it's the real deal, raw, unprocessed, and authentic. It's also pretty cool to know that not all honeys do this at the same speed. It all depends on that glucose to fructose ratio, which comes from the type of flowers the bees were visiting. Honeys higher in glucose, like banana honey, will crystallize super fast. But others that are higher in fructose, like the famous Sidra honey, can stay liquid for a really, really long time. All right, so it's natural, it's even a good sign. But let's be real. Sometimes you just want liquid honey for your tea, right? No problem. It's super easy to reverse the process, and we'll even talk about how to stop it from happening in the first place. The key word here is gentle. Just place your honey jar in a pot of warm water. Around 45 Celsius or 113 Fahrenheit is perfect. Then, just let it sit. The crystals will slowly dissolve and it'll go right back to being liquid. Now, listen up, because this is crucial. Never, ever use boiling water or a microwave. Extreme heat will absolutely destroy the good stuff in the honey and ruin its quality. So, how do you prevent it? It's really simple. Store it warm. The best spot is just a regular pantry or cupboard, somewhere the temperature stays above 25 Celsius or 77 Fahrenheit. The one place you should absolutely never, ever store your honey? The fridge. That's just asking for it to crystallize. Ooh, all right, we've gone from molecular chemistry all the way to kitchen tips. So let's just quickly bring it all home and recap the most important things to remember. So here's the bottom line. Number 1, crystallization is natural. It is not spoilage. 2, it's the glucose doing its thing when it gets cold, below 14 Celsius. 3, the nutritional value stays exactly the same. 4, you can gently warm it back to liquid at around 45 Celsius. And 5, the golden rule, store it warm, not cold. So the next time you find that jar of solid honey in your pantry, maybe don't see it as a flaw. Instead, maybe see it as a badge of honor, a little signal from nature telling you that what you have is the real, unprocessed good stuff. It kind of makes you wonder, right? What other natural imperfections in our food should we actually be celebrating?